You're looking through a telescope, billions of light years into deep space, and you freeze. There it is, a slow drift of shattered asteroids. But they aren't just random. From this vantage point, they appear to form an image, a near-perfect replica of you and your family, sitting on your old couch, watching TV in your childhood living room. Not a trick of light or hallucination, just cosmic coincidence on a scale so vast it defies belief. Imagine a universe without end. Infinite stars, infinite worlds, and infinite time to watch them all unfold. In a cosmos stretched across eternity, something strange begins to happen. Possibility doesn't just linger quietly in the background, it begins to solidify into inevitability. This is the heart of a concept known as almost sure convergence, an idea born in the early 20th century when mathematicians set out to tame the chaos of randomness. Emil Borel, followed by Andrei Kolmogorov, began to show that chance itself could be mapped with precision, not by observing the world, but by building it anew through mathematics. They asked, what happens not in one trial, but in infinite trials? What emerges when randomness is allowed to stretch forever? What they found was startling. In an infinite sequence of events, like flipping a fair coin forever, some patterns don't just arise by chance, they become inevitable. They proved it using a new mathematical language, measure theory, a way to weigh the unweighable, to assign size and certainty to infinite sets of outcomes. They showed that some events, no matter how rare, become almost certain when given infinite chances. That's what it means to say something happens almost surely. It's not intuition or guesswork, it's a law written in the logic of the infinite. Almost sure convergence whispers that given enough time, events that are merely possible aren't just likely, they are practically guaranteed to unfold. Not because the laws of physics change or because luck bends in our favor, but because, over an infinite canvas, even the rarest brushstrokes must eventually appear, simply by existing as possibilities at all. Picture rolling a die. A single 6 might take one roll, or 10, or 100. In the short term, chance rules the outcome. But if you rolled forever, an unbroken chain stretching through eternity, 6s would pile up endlessly, until the very idea of not rolling a 6 became laughable. In the infinite long run, possibility collapses into certainty. This same idea fuels the famous infinite monkey theorem. Imagine setting a monkey loose on a typewriter, striking random keys without pause. Given infinite time, not years, not millennia, but true infinity, that monkey would eventually produce the complete works of Shakespeare. Not through understanding, not through intent, but because in infinite randomness, every sequence of characters, no matter how complex, must eventually emerge. And in a purely hypothetical universe, one infinite in both time and space, the logic goes even further. In such a cosmos, every configuration of matter that can happen eventually would. Not just monkeys typing Shakespeare, but debris fields aligning into familiar forms, sandstorms sketching forgotten memories across desert floors, or a field of drifting asteroids, by pure chance, mimicking a moment from your life. These aren't forecasts, they're thought experiments that reveal just how strange, almost sure convergence becomes when stretched across eternity. And here's the part that truly breaks the mind. In a universe without limits, these things wouldn't just happen once, they would happen again, and again, and again. Because in infinity, even the rarest events don't just arrive, they return, endlessly. But here's where things become even more complex. Almost sure convergence doesn't guarantee events in the way we usually think about certainty. It doesn't say when something will happen, promise a timeline, or that we'll be around to see it. It simply states that as the number of trials approaches infinity, the probability that the event never occurs collapses to zero. It's a mathematical ghost, always approaching certainty, closer and closer, but never fully arriving in any finite moment we can experience. It's not a sudden tipping point, rather a slow, unstoppable gravitational pull toward inevitability, stretched across the vastness of forever. Yet not all dreams are destined to come true. Some events live in a different realm altogether, the realm of zero probability. Events so vanishingly unlikely, so infinitesimally impossible, that even infinity cannot summon them. Choosing a perfect, specific real number between 0 and 1, a number like 0.47519378281 at random is one such event. There are infinitely many numbers between any 2 points, but the chance of randomly selecting any one exact value is 0. This does not mean it's impossible. In mathematics, a probability of 0 in a continuous space means that the event is infinitely unlikely, not that it cannot exist. The point is there, real, definite, but its weight compared to the infinite sea around it is too small to measure. Or imagine a shattered glass on the floor with its shards randomly vibrating from the motion of molecules. The probability that they will spontaneously reassemble themselves into a perfect glass through random thermal motion is not just astronomically low, it is mathematically indistinguishable from impossible. In the dance of infinity, some steps are forever forbidden, not because time runs out, but because the steps themselves cannot exist within the structure of probability. So what does all this mean for us? It means that in any system governed by chance, from financial markets to weather patterns to human behavior, given enough time or enough trials, rare outcomes become inevitable. It reminds us that events we call almost impossible may not be so impossible after all. That long-term risks, like economic crashes, rare diseases, or once-in-a-century floods, aren't flukes. They're mathematical expectations waiting patiently across time. It also means that persistence matters, because the more times you try to learn, to connect, to change, the more likely those outcomes become. Effort compounds. Possibility, no matter how small, gets its chance. This doesn't mean we're guaranteed success, but it does mean that the universe is shaped not just by what's likely, but by what's possible, given time.